Hey there, Nate here, and welcome to my channel where I provide tips for the modern day photographer. So something massive has happened in the world of technology and the way content and ideas are produced. And if you spend any time on the internet lately, then you probably already know what I'm talking about. And that's ChatGPT. I've had the pleasure of using this tool, and so far I've sunk numerous hours into this tool, seeing the limits and effective use cases for this tool. Coming from a marketing background, I have brainstormed and tested some ways we can use this tool as a photographer, ranging from photoshoot ideas to content ideation to business ideas and more. Before diving into how to use it, I'll quickly cover what ChatGPT is for those who don't know. In short, ChatGPT is a chatbot that was launched in November 2022 by OpenAI, the same company that brought us DALLE 2, the popular AI art generator, and Whisper, the automatic speech recognition system. Just like with any other chatbot, you can give it a certain question or prompt and it will respond to your prompt. The difference with ChatGPT compared to other ordinary chatbots is that it's the most sophisticated of its kind, because it's built upon a large set of language models. In other words, it's the closest thing we have to an AI assistant that can answer any question with extreme accuracy. With that being said, let's dive into 7 ways photographers can use ChatGPT. It's just you, a blank text box, and your imagination. Where do you begin as a photographer to unleash the power of this technical beast? The first way you can leverage ChatGPT as a photographer is by getting some inspiration with photoshoot ideas, more specifically in terms of location and style or theme. Let's say you have a client session coming up, or you're going to be practicing your photography skills on some friends, and you need some photoshoot ideas. The setting and location we choose as photographers can really influence the story and the overall mood and theme that we want to showcase in our images. And sometimes, it can be a little difficult coming up with photoshoot ideas, especially if you're not really in the creative mindset. And that's where ChatGPT could step in. For example, one prompt I gave it was, I'm a portrait photographer and I live in Huntington Beach, California. I'm photographing someone for a portrait session. Where should I do the photo shoot? It responded with a detailed list of some of the great locations near me for photo shoots. In fact, many of these locations I've actually photographed at, and some of them I haven't. I looked up some of the spots the chatbot mentioned, and they actually look like great spots for photo shoots, and I'll actually be checking them out now. If you notice at the end of the response, ChatGPT also has the insight to mention that the location should also depend on the style and theme of my photos. Fair enough, so I let it know that I want my photos to be more on the moody side. It didn't respond with specific coordinates, but it was pretty good at listing out the elements that would make for a great moody photo. Some other prompts I've inputted into ChatGPT around photoshoot ideas that you could use include the following. What are some different themes or styles I could use in my niche photoshoot? When is the best time to photograph a client in location for this week, and why is that? I want to use certain composition technique this photo shoot. What elements could I use to accomplish that? I'm photographing a certain subject. What would be some good poses I could use? The second way you can leverage ChatGPT as a photographer is through niche-related insights. Sometimes you hop on a search engine, input a question, and you just really can't find the answer you're looking for. Well, that's where ChatGPT could help out, in terms of niche-related insights. You could ask it a question related to a specific niche-related insight you have, and the great thing about ChatGPT is that you can ask it follow-up questions and keep diving in and uncover the answer that you're trying to figure out. For example, here are some questions I asked ChatGPT along with some follow-up questions to get further insight into the question. The first question I asked it was, what is backlighting and how could I use it in my next portrait photo? It gave a really detailed response laying out everything you should know about backlighting. I followed it up with, should the light source be directly behind them or to the side of them? From there, it even gave a further detailed response. What was great about this is that, unlike a search engine, I could really dive into a question, and if I have another question based on the first question, I could just keep asking it and it will keep responding with a detailed response. Another question I asked it relating to the niche of wedding photography is, I'm photographing a wedding. How do I capture great photos without getting in people's way? A question that might be hard to ask in a search engine or to find, but just like that, within a matter of seconds, ChatGPT gives me a proper response. It mentions communicating with the couple, arriving early, staying out of the way of guests, etc. Pretty detailed. Another question I asked it related to club photography was, I'm going to photograph a DJ at a nightclub. What are some key moments where I should take the photos? It responded with the DJ setting up their equipment, when they interact with the crowd, them performing on stage, some close-ups of their face and hands, another pretty detailed response in a matter of seconds. There are a bunch of more questions that you can ask it, obviously, in terms of your niche-related specific question. I think it's great to think of this tool as like a personal assistant in your pocket. It's great for asking quick questions and getting a solid, proper response in return. The third way you can leverage ChatGPT as a photographer is through gear ideas. Sometimes we have a question that's only really specific to us when it comes to gear. For example, sometimes my neck hurts after a long day of photographing with the camera strap wrapped around my neck, so I asked ChatGPT for some recommendations. I asked it, I usually use a camera strap when photographing, but it hurts my neck after a while. What are some alternatives? It provided a good response with wrist straps, hand straps, neck straps with padding, camera holsters, backpacks, etc. It responded with the best alternatives. Pretty good. I then asked it another question related to another personal use case. I already knew the answer to this question, but I wanted to see how in-depth the response that ChatGPT would give. It even provided specific lens choices for portrait photography, which I thought was pretty cool. The specific question I asked it was, I'm a portrait photographer and I only use my camera and tripod. What are some other essential tools and accessories you think I should consider using? It gave out a really detailed response, listing out 7 things ranging from lenses to laptops to filters, etc. A really detailed response that might be hard to word into a search engine and to find a proper response to. As you can see, just like the previous other way, if you have a gear related question and you don't really want to hassle going through forums and searching for answers, then inputting that question into ChatGPT might be the way to go. The fourth way you can leverage ChatGPT as a photographer is with color theory planning. As we all know, effective color harmonies and the way we implement colors into our photos, whether it's analogous, complementary, or monochromatic, can greatly influence the story and the mood of their overall image. And if you don't feel like finding a color wheel or kind of thinking through the color themes, then you can just input your question into ChatGPT. For example, I asked ChatGPT, I will be photographing a client with a red dress. What are some colors that will go well with her dress? It responded with neutral colors, pastels, earth tones, deep shades, and provided the specific colors, and even why you should use those colors. Something that would be really hard to ask anywhere else that is so specific. On the post-production side of things, if you have a particular style or theme that you want to go for, you could ask ChatGPT, you can throw out your question, and then it'll respond with some tweaks and adjustments that you should make in order to hit that mood or theme. For example, I asked, I want to edit my photos to be more moody. What colors should I use? It responded with a whole range of things to consider when I wanted to create a moody photo, such as desaturating the colors, shifting the color balance, adding color filters, adjusting the contrast, adding vignetting, and more. Stuff that all applies and stuff that I actually do use when I want to edit my photos to be more moody. And these are just a couple of questions I asked it, but there are many more that could apply. The fifth way photographers can leverage ChatGPT is with photography research. What I mean by this is skipping the search engines altogether and just asking ChatGPT the question that you have. Want to know what the golden ratio is? Want to know what consists of the exposure triangle? Want to know what double exposure photography is? Simply ask the chatbot. For example, I asked how to create a double exposure photograph, and it spit out a pretty detailed response. It mentioned selecting the images, opening the images in a photo editing software, layering them, masking them, adjusting the colors, etc. The only caveat with this chatbot is that obviously being photography a visual medium, we often need visual examples to see and understand what concept we're trying to learn. So I'd recommend really just using the chatbot for quick related questions that you need answering to, related to informational stuff that doesn't really need visual imagery. For example, here's a better example where I asked it, why was photography invented? A pretty general question to just see how detailed it would get. It responded with a pretty detailed response, about 3 paragraphs. Something that I could ask a search engine, but I might need to find multiple sources in order to just get a response. With this, I get an answer in just a few seconds. The sixth way photographers can leverage ChatGPT is with content planning and ideation. Do you use social media, have a photography blog, or post video content on one of the social media platforms? Leverage ChatGPT for content ideation, content production, and content optimization. Depending on your platform of choice, here are some boilerplate template questions that you can ask the chatbot. Give me good video ideas as a portrait photographer. I'm writing a blog around the topic of insert topic. What are some good headlines? I'm creating a insert platform video around the topic of the topic. What are some good headlines? I want to post consistently on social media, but I don't know what to post. What should I post? In fact, when I asked ChatGPT to give me some title ideas for this video, here's what it responded with. ChatGPT, your virtual photography assistant. ChatGPT, the perfect photography companion. Maximize your photography skills with ChatGPT. All really good. I decided not to use any of them because I like coming up with my own titles, but it did give me some inspiration for some ideas. The seventh and final way photographers can leverage ChatGPT is through business ideas. These questions could range from marketing materials to pricing ideas to even just overall business ideas. As with all previous examples, I think the chatbot is great for giving ideas and then using them as starting points. For example, I asked ChatGPT, how do I choose a good name for my photography business? Pretty solid response. I actually wrote an article about this a good while ago, and it pretty much includes everything that I mentioned in the article, and one of the biggest things that I mentioned in there coming from an SEO background is the use of keywords. And in step number 4, it mentions the keywords, including photography in the name, so you can rank better in Google. So, pretty cool. While every photographer is in a different scenario in terms of where they're at in their photography journey, here are some questions that you could ask. I'm currently marketing my photography business through insert your channels. What else can I do to market my business? I'm thinking about revamping my pricing packages for my photography session. I currently have a certain pricing and package model. What are some ways I could test and improve this model? I may insert niche. What are some good ways to get more clients? A bonus tip for using ChatGPT for photographers. This one revolves around inspiration. Sometimes when we aren't feeling creative or we need a boost in inspiration, ask the chatbot. Here's an example. I asked it for a random inspirational quote, and pretty good. And I tried this a few times and it provided with something different each time. So, definitely more on the fun side, but if you just need quick inspiration or some creative motivation, it's great at providing some quotes. In conclusion, with all the hype around ChatGPT and AI for that matter, I figured I'd throw this video out into the mix for photographers to see how they can leverage this tool on their own photography journey. And there are literally endless use cases that you can use this chatbot. These were the ones I've thought of and have been using. If you think of any more, definitely leave them in the comment down below. I recommend checking out this tool, but it definitely shouldn't be an end-all be-all. I think it's a great tool to use for getting ideas as starting points, or if you're at a crossroads for something on your journey, then kind of using the tool to kind of help you decide what path you want to go down, I think is great. And this tool is not going away anytime soon, so I think it's definitely a good idea to start using this tool, seeing how it works, and start leveraging and incorporating it into your own photography business and just ideation process to get a head start on the competition. And so with that being said, I hope you took away something from this video. And like I mentioned, if you have any other ideas or great questions that you've asked ChatGPT related to photography, be sure to leave them down in the comments down below, and thanks for watching.